way I'm a teacher in Christ College. So I motivate my students in a different way. I always tell them a story. Actually, my many case studies. I tell them, look, with my experience, I can see fast forward in life. And I have told them, this is the way I have looked at it, and this is the way I feel it's right, but that is not the only way. There are many ways to do. I meet my students after many years on Brigade Road, and they say, ma'am, whatever you taught C++ and all, we don't remember, but we remember only your story. And that's, I feel, my success. The moment you give a real life case study and tell them convincing way, this is the way I look at it, but don't be a judgmental. This is the only way, and I am the right person. If you don't do, this is a book of law. If you don't do, you'll go to hell, you go to heaven, nothing like that. Life has many colors. Life has many canvas. There are many drawings. This is the one I have chosen. And this has given me greatest satisfaction. And this is my way to tell you this is one of the best ways. And that has motivated my students. That's what I saw. That's the reason, in Padma Purana, Vishnu says, it is not this jasmine, it is not the rose which I like as a god. Ahimsa prathamam pushpam, pushpam indriya nigraham, sarva bhuta daya pushpam, kshama pushpam visheshataha, dhyana pushpam, dana pushpam, yoga pushpam tathaivacha, satyam ashtavidham pushpam, vishnum prasidam karet. There are many ways to reach God. It is not the rose, it is not the champaka, it is ahimsa, non-violence, love your neighbors, love thy neighbors. It is Tyaga, it is Dana. And in Infosys Foundation, we chose one flower, that is Sarva Bhuta Daya Pushpam, love every human being. Thank you very much.
This is a question to all of you. With the kind of development that we are facing, we are experiencing, it is probably restricted to 2 or 3% of the population of the country. What happens to the remaining population? And if that skew is going to increase, we are going to have, in fact, it is reflecting in a lot of criminal activities, terrorism, etc. I would like to have all your opinions, all the 4 of you, Chris included, 5 of you, to talk about this. How can we broad base this development? Education is the way, but how is the main challenge?
Yeah, this is a CII meeting, so I will give mic to Chris later. Never give a mic to a teacher, please. Okay? It's a CII meeting, and all of you are industrialists, entrepreneurs, and rich people. It's your duty to reach to the poor people. You have a moral responsibility in the society. What you earn, part of that has to go to the have-nots. It has to reach, percolate to the rural area. And there are many ways to go for that, and Chris will explain whatever he thinks right. But I feel it's your duty, sitting everyone here, part of your money should go to our brothers and sisters who are in the villages. And you have to do a right thing. Otherwise, please remember, there was always a French Revolution. Thank you.
I think what you said is something which frightens me a great deal. And I see it in Bangalore, the way Bangalore has exploded, the kind of, it's become such an expensive, it has become, and people are being pushed away to the periphery, all the people who are not so wealthy. You find that space is being now occupied by people who have money. I don't know how it is going to end. I think it is not enough just to educate, because what kind of education are we giving? Is it enough to go to school and learn a few letters? I don't think that is enough. I think it's still got to go a very long way by including them into society. Now, these are all people on the fringes of society. After Rajkumar died and we had that tremendous kind of unrest, that came out of this feeling of being left out. I think this feeling of left out has to be addressed. It's not enough to educate, it's not enough to give them money. There has to be a sense of inclusion, that we are all in this together. I don't know how it will come, because I think more and more money is coming in, the more and more middle class and upper middle class people are moving away from these things. That worries me.
Rajkumar, your perspective. I think I'll pick up from where Madam Sudha Murthy left. The bottom of pyramid, C.K. Prahlad. I think that is one I would recommend. There are various methods that he has advocated, and it is in the interest of the 2% that you are talking about, the developed ones and the industry. It is in their interest also to see that.
Worked. One, I've opened a business school for the poor. A business school for the poor. Now, what does it mean? Which means we got very rich business schools for the rich students, for the rich clientele, those who can pay heavy money. So how we are creating that very lovely 2% to becoming 5% to 10%. But as Mr. Khatri said, what about the bottom of the pyramid? And as if we create business school for the poor, which means you create the first level of supervisor training, skilled training to the unskilled, the 10th standard, the 11th standard, the 12th standard, who cannot make it to the merit college and business schools. So if we start opening, and each corporate can have a branch of business for the poor, and it's possible if you think this deep. So we are now calling it even the Harvard for the poor, which means no quality compromise, but give you but the recruited person will be the poor 10th standard, the dropout. Now you can have businesses, you can identify skills which you may be able to hire and create a business for the poor with the resources you already have. You can stretch them out. Secondly, I've talked about already initially is community college for the poor. Create community colleges, and Indira Gandhi Open University allows you to open community colleges. These community colleges, you can have vocations trained, certified courses, and where does the fee come from? You charge a reasonable fee, and supposing even that poor cannot pay that fee, tie up with the banks to give you some bank loans at low interest. Banks have a scheme, but the banks don't use the scheme. Ask perforce to deliver. I'm already negotiating with the Bank of India. All they needed was a letter from me, go to the head office and approve it as a policy. Friends, these schemes exist, but we don't know them or we don't use them. I think even if corporate world starts doing this, you'll be vocationalizing education for the poor. That means we'll be actually be working for the bottom of the pyramid to come up to the lower level, at least come somewhere. That's the only way we'll have an inclusive society. And as Mr. Khatri rightly said, it's in our interest. As Sudha says, otherwise wait out for the French Revolution. It will happen. Unless we do two things. Let's begin with community business. Tap the IGNOU and get your corporates and see how you can do it. And do start having business schools for the poor. Link it with your own and see how can you involve the 10th standard and the 12th standard who got left out.
Thank you. Just to add on to what Sudha said, there's a very thin line between democracy and revolution. Both are people power. One is non-violent, the other is violent. And the choice, actually, it's a very thin line, actually. You just saw that, actually, what happened in Bangkok, Thailand. Very thin line, actually. And we need to be aware of that.
In Pondicherry, we have a community college. And that incidentally happens to be the first in India. And I happened to be the in charge for some time. We used to involve all the government departments, for example, Adi Dravida, backward classes, and all other departments, and they used to provide the fees and all that for the candidates who are coming from that. Coming to the first one, I had the privilege of interacting with Chris Gopalakrishna a couple of days ago. And we have been working on management education for all, where we mean that self-help groups, rural women, artisans and all, the kind of management that they require. We worked with ILO for some time. Now we are planning to formalize it. I'm extremely happy that you have already put practice. Maybe if I take just one other 10 seconds, all the people here are self-driven, and maybe a thought can be beyond business, how that can be infused into the schools, colleges, and women in particular. Perhaps we all sit together and think together, and perhaps something can be done later. Thank you.
At the back, please. At the back.
Good evening. My name is Aparna. I'm from Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship in Electronic City. My question was actually to Mrs. Sudha Murthy and
Can you hold the microphone closer? Yeah.
And Shashi Deshpande. This is a gender-related question. When you're working, I'm sure both of you have. You have kids. How do you keep the work-life balance and try to inculcate your work style, not feeling guilty about going out and working, and make the kids understand the situation that you are in? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
I'm very happy because I was wondering there's not a single lady who has got up and asked questions. So I'm very happy about that, Aparna. In my case, I was very fortunate because my parents lived downstairs and I stayed upstairs. So cooking was also in care of my mother. Unless you have a family support, it's very difficult for a working woman to balance both and not feeling